Welcome back, folks. This is Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. And unfortunately, the Yankees lost yet again to a team that, let's be honest, they shouldn't be losing to, the Angels. If they played like this every single day, they might actually be playing for something in October. Well, the reality is the Yankees just lost the series to the Angels. Okay? No Mike Trout. Ohtani's long gone, and they just lost the series to the Angels. Now, Gary, I'm well aware, and I already know people in the comment section are going to bring it up. It's baseball. This stuff happens. But this was important because to me, again, we talked about it last episode, which was yesterday. You're playing the 30th toughest schedule, which means the easiest schedule the rest of the way. To not be able to win a series, forget about the sweep. To not win the series against the Angels is just unacceptable. And, this really stems on the backs of two pitchers, okay? Luis Gil, I thought, did a nice job getting through a start that he didn't have his best stuff and showed you how it's done. He doesn't really give up many runs. But then you have Will Warren, who just basically just shit all over the game. And then today... Nestor Cortes with good God. So yeah, I mean, we're going to get into it. Gary, the Yankees have a starting pitcher issue. And I mean, Stroman is still waiting in the wings to start this weekend. So it's not great right now in New York. And I know it sounds kind of funny because they're tied for first place in the AL East. They're one of the best teams in the league statistically. I think you had mentioned they have the most runs scored this year. So
yeah, Nestor Cortes 5-10. How's that possible? But Jake, you know what's so funny? Will Warren and Nestor Cortes essentially just tag team this Dookie Water performance. It was so bad. The game was over in the third inning. In each of these performances, you can't look at the offense, who obviously you just brought up the statistics. They are scoring runs, especially of late. This Yankees team, I know today they struggled against Anderson. He's an all-star for a reason. He has a really good changeup. You saw it today. It was pretty much dominant, right? But did the offense really matter today? Like, did it matter if some of those balls that were hit actually reached the seats? The Yankees, at best today, were probably scoring 5 or 6 runs. That wasn't going to be enough. This Angels team essentially just put a hurt on a bad pitcher, okay? And that's where we are now, okay? Because at the beginning of the year, we mentioned, okay, we're winning a lot of games. Everyone was really excited, okay? We were beating up on a lot of bad teams. We also were mixing in winning series against some really good teams. We had a surprise against Houston, the opening series. We were happy about that. But what people told us is, who are you inside the division against some of the better teams in the league? And we weren't winning those series. But as the year went on, we started to look at these series and say, okay, where are our expectations? Should we be winning these games? Now, when you talk about our next series, which is against the Texas Rangers, and we look at their record, and you say, and you brought this up, the 54-61 Texas Rangers, they're not having the season that you would like, and you would see this as an opportunity. You look at the worst teams in baseball, at least performance-wise in the short term, and you say, okay, they're not playing well. We're tied for first place in the division. We have to take care of this series. That's how this works. The best teams in baseball beat up on teams that aren't playing the way they should be. That's your job. The Los Angeles Angels should never be beating the Yankees at home. It shouldn't happen, okay? Don't tell me about, well, we didn't expect Nestor Cortes to be pitching. Brian Cashman had an opportunity to put competent pitchers on the mound at the deadline and make sure that these starts aren't made, because we've talked about it. No one's going to run away with this division. Baltimore's not great. Right now, we're not great. And you can absolutely argue our personnel-wise, we're not great unless we're completely healthy. Well, which team in Major League Baseball is completely healthy all year? None of them. Not one team, Jake. And so I'll say this about the Yankees. I feel like they build their roster and say, I feel we have enough. And they look at that they visualize the entire roster and they say, when everyone is in the position that we need them to be in, we'll be good. But they don't prepare for anyone to go down. They don't prepare for a Cody Poteet, who no one expected to be a productive player this year. But Clark Schmidt, what if Luis Gil wasn't who he was this year? what did you expect to do then? Were you just going to be more aggressive at the deadline? They've never done that before. So why is it that we just read a report, and if for those of you who don't know, you'll learn here, that Clark Schmidt is planning on returning at the end of this month. Now, if you do the math of that, it's the 8th of the month. By the time you're watching the show, it's the 9th. That could be in 20 days. Jake, don't you know there are 5 starters in this rotation? We could be seeing Nestor Cortes 3 or 4 more times by the time Clark Schmidt enters into this rotation.
And Stroman.
And Marcus Stroman.
And Will Warren. Hopefully not.
Hopefully we don't see Will Warren, but would that really come as a surprise to anyone watching this show today? Would it come as a surprise to you? It wouldn't surprise me. So having said that, 3 of your 5 guys are essentially L's, and Garrett Cole doesn't have it going. I would say right now our most reliable pitcher is Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon is the player that you're just...
Well, Heel, I would say, is the most reliable.
Heel, Rodon.
Yeah.
Right? So we're talking about 2 dudes.
But Rodon has had his moments too. So that's the scary thing, is that the Yankees aren't far away from having almost an entire rotation of just, I wish I could skip this start. I mean, that's not good. And then AAA, it's like, that's the thing. You have teams around the league that have guys that are pitching well in AAA. Who's pitching well in the Yankees AAA right now?
Oh, I have no idea. Which, by the way, I'm actually not concerned when people say, okay, Garrett Cole's, he's a question mark, right? Rodon's a wild card. Heel is a wild card. He's a young player. He's never pitched this long in a season. I'm okay with that. I can deal with that. Here's the reason why. There's a ceiling there. I know how high Garrett Cole can go. I can visualize when Luis Heel is right. I can see where what they're picturing here, why he's on the mound in a postseason series. I totally get it. What is the explanation for me seeing Nestor Cortes? They're going to tell me injury. So if it's injury, if that's the reason why, right? Health of the roster is why I'm seeing Nestor Cortes, and you knew players and reinforcements weren't arriving till late August. Why wouldn't you get reinforcements? You're actually comfortable, and the Yankees have told us they're clearly comfortable waiting around for reinforcements and essentially punting 2 games every single time you go around the rotation. That, to me, is a joke. Game 2 of that doubleheader we watched yesterday was a joke. We had no opportunity to win that game whatsoever, and we were forced to podcast about it. It was a joke. So I cannot possibly sell our audience that we had any opportunity to win game 2. Then we come into today. Nestor Cortes, they tell us, oh yeah, he can spin it at home. He got rocked on the road in 2 starts in a row. His last 2 starts at home, rocked. Then today, they were talking about he doesn't have a grip on the baseball. He doesn't have a grip on the baseball when it's dry out. So why would I expect him to do well in the rain? He's not good in any condition. How about we have Elon Musk send him off in a rocket and see if he can pitch on Mars? He cannot pitch. I'm sorry. Nestor Cortes is a arm. He is a Jose Quintana arm. He is a 5-starter for a bad organization. He's still a big leaguer, still a professional. He'll go out there and give you 5 innings, give up 4 runs, and then keep it moving, go take a hot shower. What are we talking about? This is a team that has to run down the Baltimore Orioles, and we're comfortable with this. This is mediocrity, and I won't sell it as anything else other than that.
No, I agree with you. And I would say to anybody who's trying to blame the weather as a reason for Nestor's performance, well, then why did Tyler Anderson strike out 7 and have virtually no issue? Virtually no issue against, a really good lineup, a lineup that has been alive. They still had 8 hits. They only got 8 hits because they took Anderson out. I think Anderson could have pitched the whole game at that rate and they wouldn't have gotten 8 hits.
We're lucky pitch count matters to anybody.
I know.
You know what I saw all the time on Twitter, by the way? I had to bring it up to you, Jake. They were mentioning, there are a lot of people who said this. Man, I really like Nestor, but I'm over it. I'm over this whole experience. When at some point are Yankees fans, just in general, and I know this is a lot of young people on Twitter, but when are we going to get past liking players for reasons that have nothing to do with production? I don't give a rootin' tootin' if I like a player or not. If he can help the Yankees produce, that's what makes me like somebody.
Yeah.
You can tell me all day long the dude likes chicken parmesan, he likes Del Frisco's, he loves New York, he grew up a Yankees fan. None of those things matter to me. All I care about is, are you productive for the Yankees? If you're not, my job, I know it's silly, but my job is to at least bring up conversation as to where the Yankees should go to find a replacement so that they can get production. That's what you do, Jake. We sit here and have conversation trying to figure out, what can Brian Cashman do? Can he bring in reinforcements outside the organization? Or on this show, we've brought up, hey, we see what this guy's doing in terms of production in the minor leagues. Maybe you can bring him up and give us production at the big league level. They've done neither. They essentially rode with dudes who have been getting rocked for a while now. Nestor Cortes has been getting rocked for 2 months, and we watch it every fifth day. It's disappointing, and anyone saying Nestor should go to the bullpen, you want this arm coming out the pen?
No, I hear you. I mean, I don't even know how he makes the postseason roster at this point, and I kind of wish they traded for Tyler Anderson, who I know they had some interest in. And Tyler Anderson is a great example. These are two of the slowest pitchers in baseball, right? Tyler Anderson has the lowest velo,
That's right,
average velo in the league. So Nestor, we always talk about it, his max is hitting 94. I mean, what do you see like the difference between the two? Because yes, the velo issue is there for Cortes, but why does it not bother Anderson? Anderson, like I've said, going into this, has been a model of consistency. His ERA is now a 2.99. That would lead the Yankees rotation. Period. Would lead the rotation right now.
It's location. If you watch Nestor Cortes, I know Tyler Anderson and Cortes,
he has a lot of waste pitches. You notice that, where they're nowhere near the strike zone, way up there, kind of like a Rodon. But Rodon is using that as like, okay, I put that out there. This is what I can do. And he'll actually strike you out on a high pitch. I don't think I've ever seen Cortes strike out anybody on the high stuff.
I mean, I've seen it before, obviously, when he was going right. But let's be clear here. We're talking about, this is a large sample size of a player who doesn't locate. And frankly, earlier this year, when you have Aaron Boone saying, why do all our mistakes end up in the seats? Well, when you have a guy throwing 93 and he's trying to throw backdoor cutters to righties, well, guess what? When you throw a backdoor cutter to a righty and it goes over the heart of the plate, where do you think the ball's going? It's going in the seats. But when you watch Anderson, you watched it a lot today. Where'd you see the changeup? Did you see any changeups above our heads? You didn't, did you? You saw everything. It's either in the dirt or at the bottom of the zone. And then he's tunneling a fastball. He's just showing you a fastball every once in a while. He's pitching inside. But here's the thing. Pitching inside doesn't mean throwing at hitters. It's not just a choice. It's also execution. You need to hit the inside corner. Don't tell me about calls. Michael Kay actually brought this up, and he was accurate. He mentioned that Nestor Cortes was upset in the first at-bat of the game where he gave up a homer, and there was a call that was missed at the bottom of the zone. Well, guess what? You still need to locate. Don't tell me that an umpire gave you a ball, put you in a hitter's count, and then you throw 92 right down the middle and expected anything other than a homer to occur. That's the way baseball works. You may get screwed over on a call. That may happen. But all these other pitchers for these other organizations, they get screwed on these calls too. We're not the only team getting bad calls. They execute pitches. Nestor Cortes doesn't. It's that simple.
Yeah. And the Yankees pitched to Zach Neto today after an 8 RBI day. He followed it up with a 3-for-4 day. Not going to miss him unless he ends up in pinstripes at some point. Then, that would be cool. But I mean, he's a good player, man. He's a really good player. I got to give him his props. I have to give Moniak. I'm so tired of seeing that guy's face, but he had a good series and he's got range for days.
Which is crazy because he was the 1-1 pick. You know that, right?
What was that?
Mickey Moniak. He was the number 1 overall pick to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah. I don't remember what trade brought him over to the Angels, though.
I don't either. I really don't. I don't remember what brought him over there, but I mean, You know what's so crazy though is I'm just so curious where expectations are, because clearly we're still trying to win this division. Whether or not our listeners believe that we should or we're going to, we're still hoping that something good happens. I mean, if you're rooting against the team, I don't really know what to tell you. Unless, of course, like there are some people who are like, I'm going to root against the team as a martyr season to prove a point. But let me be clear about this. I think this is the most important thing you'll take away from the show. Hoping that the Yankees are mediocre for any period of time and it's going to kick Hal Steinbrenner into gear, or it's going to get Brian Cashman fired, or it's going to get Aaron Boone fired. Any Yankees fan that really watches this team should be able to tell you none of those things are actually going to impact anyone's job. It's just not. These guys are here to stay, whether or not that's fair or not. We've talked about how some of it is just not fair at all. It's just not. But the Yankees falling short in this pursuit of outrunning Baltimore, that's not going to lose anyone their jobs. Not one person in this front office, nobody in that dugout or locker room. It's just not going to happen. So I say you should be rooting for this team to win. But realistically, where are expectations in this Texas Rangers series? Are we walking into this Rangers series and saying they're not playing very good baseball? We need to sweep this team. Or do we just show up and just say, all right, guys, it's game one. Let's try to go win a ball game and act like we're this ho-hum organization happy about a win? Do we not have any expectations? And right now, it doesn't seem like there are expectations for who's taking the field. And there are quite a few players on this roster, mainly pitchers, that are punts, that are losses. And I don't think that's good enough. I don't think it's good enough to wait for someone to get healthy that you didn't expect to be a great pitcher coming into the season. I think it is a cheap way to go about your business.
No, I agree with that. I wanted to bring up Moniak, by the way. He was traded for Noah Syndergaard. So
wow.
That was the trade. Now, keep in mind, he played a little bit for the Phillies and just wasn't very good. So it wasn't like they got fleeced. You know, he hasn't really done anything. But defensively, that guy can play a very, very good defense in center field. That was a clinic.
He's a good athlete
in this series. He put on a clinic, and Zach Neto put on a clinic as well. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, kind of looking at this series, the thing that I find the most struggling is that the Yankees continue to hit. Even when it felt like it was, you know, bleak and everything, these guys are trying to get on base. And, you know, they mentioned that. I mean, Paul O'Neill, you know, was asked by Michael Kay. He's like, you know, at one point, he's like, when you're down by 7 runs and it's pouring rain, it's in the 7th inning. I mean, you have to really fight to stay like in the game, right? And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's part of like kind of the human, you know, element, because yeah, you get down and you see it and it's hard to stay motivated. But I mean, look, you know, Jazz Chisholm is still swinging for the fences late in the game like that. And you have Cabrera come off the bench for an injured Volpe. We'll get into that, but hitting the Oppo bomb, that was pretty nice. But no, you know, this game really felt like it was over. I mean, just right after Cortes gave up the 6 runs, they come in. I mean, in the 5th inning alone, it went from 2-1 to 8-1 like that. So
it could have been way worse too. That's the crazy part.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because for the people out there that are saying, well, Nestor got out of the 3rd inning only down 2-1. Yeah, but Nestor got bailed out by his defense as well. We're giving Moniak a lot of credit and Neto, and rightfully so. But there were some diving plays today. Soto had to lay out and make a couple of those plays.
2 in 1 inning.
Judge, you know, Verdugo had a play. So, I mean, like, look, you know, there was defense that was saving Cortes. You could say, well, every pitcher has defense, but it's like not every pitcher is stretching the defense out like this.
Well, hold on.
The defense had to work today.
Second. Nestor Cortes gave up 9 hits in 4 2/3 innings. He was giving up 2 hits an inning. So what is it exactly? I mean, the defense had a lot of opportunity. Balls were laced all over the place. Which, by the way, there was a ball that was hit down the line for the Angels today. They called a foul ball. It was fair.
Oh, it was fair. It was just they're too lazy to put the chalk in the outfield.
There was just there was no chalk over there. It was a fair ball.
It was absolutely fair. So and then he hit it in the same spot. Like,
right.
You know, no big deal. I'll just do it again.
Nestor Cortes was like, oh, okay, well, we're just gonna reset the whole play. Pitch. I guess it's a wash. Very next pitch is just roped down the left field line.
Same exact pitch.
Right. But I mean, that's what Nestor has. He's got the backdoor cutter. He's got the four-seamer he likes to ride up and away, which obviously hitters don't respond to. And then he's got the slider, which isn't very good. It's not a good pitch. So
that's the thing. You have to throw something good enough to get somebody to challenge. And Nestor, when I said earlier waste pitches, obviously you knew what it meant. But for those of you out there that have no idea what I just said, like a waste pitch is something that's not even contestable. No one is swinging at it. It's over the batter's head.
We usually see those on 0-2 pitches, which Michael K has brought up. Is it that effective on an 0-2 pitch? You get ahead of a hitter. It's clearly when the hitter's most susceptible. They're trying to protect the plate. They, in theory, shouldn't be swinging the bat as hard, right? Yeah. They're very close to striking out and ending the at-bat, so they've got to fight. Okay, well, what do you do on that 0-2 pitch? Well, Nestor Cortes will just throw a pitch over your head. And he's like, well, I'm trying to show it to him. I'm like, okay, well, it's now 1-2. So the more you waste these pitches and you go 1-2, 2-2, hell, you even go 3-2, you're putting hitters back into the count. And really all you're doing is allowing the hitter to get more comfortable in the box. They've seen everything you got. And that's part of the reason why anytime you see Nestor Cortes in like the third inning doing his delayed leg kick, that's essentially him throwing up a smoke signal saying, yeah, I don't have anything to fool you except for this little gimmick. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked in 2 years. So the fact that we're letting him go up there and do this rabbit trick behind the ear like he's David Blaine, it doesn't work. It's not
Tyler
enjoyable.
Anderson's worked. Did you see that on Stanton? That extra.
Yes, but Tyler Anderson also throws pitches that are executed. So you can rabbit out the ear and throw the ball behind your head and do all types of stuff. Like all that it's funny for Instagram and cool, I'm sure, for young people to watch that and say, ooh, you see how delayed that was?
I'm kind of over it. I'm actually very over it.
But when the pitch is 92 right down the middle, these are Major League Baseball players. They're going to do damage. It doesn't matter what you do. They're going to time it up. So that gimmick has to come with execution. Otherwise, it's just a gimmick and it's boring and we're tired of it. So,
kind of like I don't know. Cortez's act. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this whole, he gets up there. He doesn't have anything to make, to miss bats or anything like that. And I don't think I'm being unfair here. I mean, this is a production business. You're pitching for the New York Yankees. You're in a contract year. I mean, I thought they should have just traded him at the deadline. I mean, I think we all probably think that. So,
well, I mean, trade him for what? Like, if you really think about it, this is a pitcher. What's Nestor Cortes's ERA? His last 6 starts, is it 7?
Yeah, I mean, something like that.
So when you say trade Nestor Cortes, I totally agree. Him not being allowed to start games is probably a good thing for the Yankees, but then there needs to be a follow-up. Okay, who is on the roster that's going to take his place? Which, I mean, you can argue the Yankees maybe have a couple options that would be better, and I wouldn't argue against that. But I wouldn't say just replacing him with mediocre is good enough. The Yankees should have replaced him with an arm that you'd say, I'm happy that this guy's starting a game in August, because that's what we're seeing. We're probably going to see Nestor Cortes for, I would say, 2 more starts in August. That's odd to me. But I also, Jake, I want to talk about the injury, because there was an injury in this game. For those of you who missed it, there are a lot of people who turned this game off, and I don't blame you. But Anthony Volpe, earlier in the game, you saw him foul a ball off his foot. Well, he came out of the game later. And they're saying that's a bruised foot. X-rays are negative, thankfully. And Anthony Volpe in general doesn't sit games. I would expect him to be out tomorrow against Texas. I don't think he'll play. They said he's day-to-day. Usually players who are day-to-day don't just start the next day. So having said that, who do we expect to be our shortstop tomorrow?
It's interesting. It's not a simple answer, because while you could go with, Waldo there at short, and then, maybe LeMahieu at second, and then maybe you DH Torres or something like that. You could also go with Chisholm at short. You could give him a shot at short. But
does Chisholm have any pedigree at shortstop, like anywhere on any level?
Yeah, no, the one that he never played was first and third. He never played in the corners. Okay. So yeah, he does actually. I think he came up as a shortstop. So yeah. Okay. So his favorite position's second, although I don't know. I think his favorite position's third now. I think he really loves it. And he's been really good there. I mean, he's been as good as anybody that the Yankees have had there, talking about Headley and Donaldson and LeMahieu. I mean, he's doing just about every. I wouldn't put him on the level of A-Rod. I think A-Rod's defense at third is highly underrated. I think
A-Rod was the best shortstop on our roster, and we just moved him to third.
Yeah,
because it was Jeter. So you're expecting, to answer my question, you're expecting Chisholm to play shortstop. You've got Ben Rice at first base and maybe DJ at third.
I could see that. I'm not saying they'll go that way, but the reason why I said it the way I did is because you're bringing up a legitimate question here where who knows? You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. My feeling is that Waldo plays short. That's just how I feel.
Okay.
It feels like it's the most natural fit there because he also came up as a shortstop. But, I could see a call up tomorrow. I could see them calling up Vivas. Yeah, I could see a Vivas call up who's on the 40-man roster.
Have him choose sunflower seeds for us and then send him back down.
No, I mean, he could actually play. I mean, I don't know if he would, but,
Oh, we think he should play. We both agree there. Yeah. No question about it. He was a player that we both said, well, let's give him an opportunity. They called him up. He sat for 2 days, and then we sent him back to AAA. So all I'm saying is
just to get him out of his rhythm.
Yeah.
You're too hot. We got to calm you down.
Right. Do we expect him to play? I mean, if
they called him up tomorrow, I would expect him to play. Why are you calling him up?
I kind of agree with you. I think we might see Cabrera. But I mean, DJ's been swinging an actual decent bat. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they just threw him at third base. Well, do we know who's starting for Texas tomorrow? Because if it's a lefty, they might just pretend Ben Rice can't hit lefties again and not play him. I'm not even joking.
I love the way you worded that because that's how I feel too.
That's what they do. They act like Ben Rice just has no clue. It is a
lefty, so Ben Rice is not going to be in. It's Cody Bradford, 3.96 ERA, 0.92 WHIP, 25 innings pitched, 3-0. He's given up 4 home runs, 24 strikeouts, 4 walks, and 19 hits. Yeah, I mean, I think then I already kind of told you the answer. It's a lefty, so LeMahieu. I guess tomorrow's lineup catcher will be Wells. By the way, moving Wells out of the cleanup spot is just so stupid, honestly. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Why? He's got over 1,000 OPS in the cleanup spot. Let's just move him around because I'm bored. See, that stuff like that is where like Boone loses me. Like, why? Why Stanton? Why?
I guess they really like the look of lefty on righty, which I guess in theory, I'm not going to defend them. I just know what they're thinking. They're thinking, okay, they're got Torres
overdoing it. This is
righty,
what we
lefty,
call
righty,
micromanagement. That's what micromanagement looks like. Hey, Verdugo's been hitting well in the leadoff spot. Let's bat him 9th. Micromanagement. It's that simple.
So what is the explanation? So is it every time we see a lefty, they just throw Verdugo in the 9th spot, and then when we see a righty, now Verdugo's the option? Is that what they're doing?
I guess. I can't figure it out. I mean, Torres will lead off tomorrow in all likelihood. Soto, then Judge. Then they'll do this stupid fucking thing with Stanton batting 4th now and Wells batting 5th, even though we already know Wells is the better cleanup hitter. Volpe will be out. Cabrera will be in. So he'll drop in the order. Chisholm will move up ahead of him. LeMahieu will play first. So, yeah, I mean, we're looking at the same exact lineup so it's not actually that crazy.
I wish I could see the splits because I want to know what Austin Wells does against lefties because I feel like he's relatively productive.
Yeah.
But remember, earlier this year, we actually talked about Oswaldo Cabrera being a switch hitter, but the Yankees were talking about the fact that they didn't like what he was doing against lefties. They didn't like his bat in his right hand, essentially. They didn't like his right-handed swing. Okay, well, could that, since they don't like him against righties, maybe they go a different route tomorrow with a lefty on the mound?
So Wells against left-handed pitching bats .233 as a .612 OPS.
which is a 250 hitter for the year. So he's probably a 270 some hitter against righties.
A left-hand starter, he hits 250 with an 875 OPS.
That is good.
So, I mean, that's really, I don't really care about the versus lefties thing. Okay. Whatever. Let me know how this hitter is going to be against a guy that's going to throw at him 3 times. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll say Bradford at least gets 2 at-bats against Wells. Yeah, I mean, well, you know what? I kind of wonder if they'll give Wells a day tomorrow.
Why would he get a day?
I mean, I don't think they should, but I could see it. He only has 2 starts against left-handed pitching. I'm looking at it right now. So
our 250. So what's he hitting against lefties this year? Against starters?
250.
So, but how many at bats has he taken?
He's had 8 at bats.
So nothing.
Yeah,
they didn't even give him a chance.
So he really, like, today was different, but I could see them being like, oh, well, we just forgot he's not great against lefties, so Carlos Narvaez, you're in.
That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
I'll say this. If Carlos Narvaez is in, I have no issue with that, but then I don't want Stanton in the lineup tomorrow.
Yeah, but, here's the thing. If you have no Stanton in the lineup.
It's non-negotiable, in my opinion, to keep Wells out of the lineup. He needs to at least be a DH or first base. That's how I feel.
But based on the way they've used him, according to what you just told me, we maybe won't see Austin Wells tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Volpe will probably have the day off. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So no Wells, no Volpe. And then potential Stanton on a back-to-back. Does Stanton play tomorrow? What if Stanton doesn't play tomorrow? So you have no Stanton.
Then it's Grish.
No 4, 5, and 6 in your lineup today.
Yeah.
Should I be in the lineup tomorrow?
I think tomorrow you have a good point. It's either going to be the exact same lineup that we saw tonight when Volpe left, or they're going to do that thing where we don't want Stanton on a back-to-back. Grisham takes center field, Judge DHs. I got to be honest with you. I am not totally against giving Judge like half days like that and DHing, but I think it hurts your team because now if you don't want to put Wells in there and you're not going to DH him because you're giving it to Judge, so now Wells isn't in your lineup, the third best hitter in your lineup. That's my issue. I guess it's just, it's something we're going to find out tomorrow at some point or another. I'm kind of over it, to be honest with you. Kind of over this whole, we need to make the lineup way more confusing than it should be. I'm over the splits and all that. I get them. I do. But I think Wells should be playing every day. And Ben Rice,
the opportunity you gave him 8 at bats against lefties.
Yeah, so, and I mean, I think what sucked today is Torres struck out 3 times. I really think Torres is locked in. He's had some good at bats. I've been watching him closely, and it just sucks. He was close to having a home run. He's done that now back-to-back games, and it was. Today was that tease game where the Yankees, I will say this, if it didn't pour and it didn't, have like the crazy wind gusts that it had, coming in from left, the Yankees might have won this game.
I don't think so. Nestor Cortes was still pitching.
Well,
so I just think there was no way this game could have been played on the moon with wind howling out to right field.
Well,
it wouldn't have made any difference.
I'm not saying they would have. I'm saying they could have because they had a few home runs that I just died at the wall.
I think the Yankees could have won this game if Nestor Cortes was just mediocre, and he hasn't been mediocre.
Oh, no, I think they win this game if Nestor's mediocre. I think it's a completely different approach.
Yeah, I just don't know if there are any – I don't know if there were anything like that actually changed the game, like the outcome. I just think in general, when Nestor Cortes is the starter, you lose.
Oh, I told you. I told you
I
it was
just think
over.
that's it. Yeah. No, I think it's
I
bad.
called
And
game
by the
early
way,
on.
yeah, I think by the way, since this was just like the worst. This was the worst game ever. This was terrible. I've seen every game this year. I haven't missed an inning. That was terrible. I'm going with a movie. Since we're towards the end of the show, I'm going with one of the worst movies ever, and that is She-Hulk. She-Hulk was the worst movie ever.
There's a She-Hulk movie?
Yeah.
You're not talking about the TV series?
Yeah, I guess I should say the TV series, Attorney at Law. Yeah.
Oh God.
Attorney at Law, She-Hulk.
You could just
Worst
put
TV
She-Hulk.
series you could ever see. A lot of people didn't see that. It's
There's
actually
no
pretty
antagonist.
funny how bad it was.
So it's just it's I don't know. It's bad.
Well, at one point the protagonist is twerking on screen. So I mean, if you wanted to know how bad the movie is or the show, that's how bad it was. Like you would expect, okay, this is going to be a very intimidating, right? This is the Hulk.
She compares her catcalling trauma to what literally Bruce Banner goes through, turning into the Hulk, first off, and losing all the people that he loves in his life. And she compares the two.
It's a
terrible.
poorly written, poorly acted. The CGI was horrible. There were scenes where they walked into the room in CGI and then became the real character in makeup. It was that bad. It honestly reminded me a lot of this performance against the Angels today.
Yeah, I mean, what was the word I used? I felt like my body was decaying while I was watching this.
Yeah. I wanted it to decay.
I mean, I felt like I was melting, like I was the Wicked Witch. It was like, I mean, unreal. It truly is just, end of the day, this is just uninspiring baseball. That's really what it is. If you want to look for an actual term, it's uninspiring baseball at its finest. And you know, it's frustrating because they get 8 hits in this game. They show a little bit of a rally. You know, I mean, I give the grounds crew, I give the, you know, both teams and, you know, the umpires, everything, a lot of credit for getting this thing in. There was a lot of pressure to get this in because they would have had to basically have the Angels take a cross-country trip back to New York in September to play this meaningless game.
I will say this, and I totally understand because it's all relative, right? Like in considering their position, it does suck. Mm-hmm. But if we really do think about it, we all get up Monday through Friday and go to work, drive across town, sit in traffic, and the Los Angeles Angels can't hop on Delta chartered flight in first class.
They can.
I get it.
But the logistics behind it are so dumb.
No, I get the logistics, but it's like all your wives are going to hop on the plane. You're going to go out to dinner. It's not that bad. It just isn't. It is a meaningless game, but you know what? The Angels flew out to New York and played this meaningless series. It's already meaningless. So, like, how bad was it? Like, they're going to play wherever they're going to play this next series. No one's going to watch it. The Angels have fans. I mean, they're out there if you go search for them. But they've been playing meaningless games since Mike Trout ever became a big leaguer. They've been wasting his talent for 10 years. So this whole idea, I think it's a bigger issue for the Yankees. Like the fact that the Yankees have to get up in September and play you guys, because we're going to be in the middle of a hunt to win, you know, for postseason. So the game would matter for us. The Angels have been playing meaningless ball for quite a while.
No, that's fair. It's funny. I was just looking. Yeah, if they played it, it would have been after their twin series, and then they probably would have stayed out there and just flew to New York. So
yeah, that big Angels twin series that everyone's waiting on.
Yeah, no, that's a massive series.
And I don't want to discount them because they just came in and punched us in the jaw. They were a better team in this series. They were just embarrassing.
He's not a bad manager. He just doesn't win world championships, but he's good.
Well, yeah, I mean, Nelson Cruz can catch a fly ball, so is what it is.
Yeah, so that's gonna do it for us. Texas. Big series coming up. No excuses. 7:05 tomorrow. It's Rodon taking on Bradford. And then Saturday is a 1:05 game. Sorry, Gary. On ESPN Plus.
I'll have it on Stream East.
Garrett Cole versus Nathan Eovaldi.
Oh my God. I can see that L already.
And then August 11th, Sunday, 1:35. Sorry, Gary. Marcus Stroman versus old friend Andrew Heaney.
If we lose that game, I have nothing.
Hey, now, Andrew Heaney is out pitching Nestor Cortes.
Well, yeah. Who isn't he?
3.98 ERA, 111 strikeouts, 1.22 WHIP, and he's 4-11. So he's close to Nestor Cortes.
Nestor Cortes is 29, right?
I don't know. I think so. Something like that.
My mom actually was sitting beside me during the game today, and she goes, "How old is this guy? He looks 40." I said he's 29. Nestor Cortes, and I'm sure part of he's not aging as well because he has to watch himself pitch every day, and he has to watch his own bullpens. But Nestor Cortes is not aging the way that you like.
Was there a makeup game for Detroit, by the way?
I have no idea.
So I'm seeing it's a 2-game series, August 16th, 17th in Detroit. And then August 18th is in New York against Detroit. I've never seen that.
I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's like a 3-game set, and 2 of them start in Detroit, and then one's in New York. That New York game is going to be crazy. It's Luis Heel taking on Tarek Skubal. That's baseball. Give me that.
We should just make it the ultimate showdown and get Nestor Cortes to toe the slab.
No.
We lose that game 12-0.
Oh, man. No, Nestor Cortes is next on the mound against Chicago on Tuesday.
Oh, the White Sox?
The worst team in the league.
If he can't get that game done, I just release him.
They're going up big. So Jonathan Cannon is starting for the White Sox. Like, I don't even know what that is. Davis Martin is starting against Garrett Cole. Yeah, dude, the White Sox are literally just taking guys out of the stands.
Jake, but this is what people do to us. You know what they say? They say those entitled Yankees fans, they just think they can show up and play the Chicago White Sox and expect to sweep. Yeah, I do have the expectations to sweep a team that lost 40 games in a row, it seemed like. So, yeah, when you play completely inferior baseball teams, now the Yankees may not be a good enough team to have the expectations to go sweep a horrible Chicago White Sox team. But if you're going to tell me that you believe this is a World Series team, I should be able to expect a World Series team, as you put it, to go sweep the Chicago White Sox. That series should be a wash, complete demolition. I don't care if Nestor's pitching, Garrett Cole, Luis Heel, Rodon, don't care. It should be a demolition. Just like all these other teams who won't win a World Series, just destroy those teams. Just like all those other teams, go into Anaheim and play Anaheim at home, destroy that team. We don't have those expectations. We don't, not at all.
So to wrap this up, and then you'll probably have to remind people what to post again. Nestor Cortes has 1 more start than Rodon, 2 more starts than Heel and Stroman. Why does he lead the team in starts, Gary? Why?
They're going to tell me because he was most healthy. Obviously, you got Garrett Cole who went down with the injury. That makes sense.
Why? Heel never got hurt. Rodon never got hurt. Stroman hasn't missed a start. So why does he have 24 starts? I don't know. I will say,
just because we have a podcast doesn't mean I have answers for everything. I don't have answers for that. I don't. I can give you a logical explanation. The Yankees were hoping that Nestor Cortes was going to return to form to which he was in 3 years ago. Is that a solid plan? If you ask me, it's not. But it's clearly what they went after, and it hasn't worked, unfortunately.
So here are pitchers that have pitched more than just that have lost more than just 1 game. They are in the negative, right? So they're below 500 record.
Okay.
Nestor Cortes on the Yankees. Nestor Cortes.
Yep.
Clay Holmes and Caleb Ferguson.
Wait, Where's the rest of the league? Are you talking about our team?
Yeah, just on the Yankees.
Okay.
Everyone else has a winning record. Or it's like 0-1, and I didn't.
Technically, to be fair, Clay Holmes, your closer, should have a losing record.
Yes,
in large part because if anything bad, if something good happens, he doesn't get a win; he gets a save.
Exactly.
But if something bad happens, he gets a loss. But those other two, Caleb Ferguson, he's the guy you put on the mound. Did you see the homer that Ferguson gave up 2 nights ago? Who was that to? The ball was exploded.
I don't even remember, but that was terrible.
It was a lefty.
That was a beach ball. He just threw it right down the plate. But like, how does Nestor Cortes have a 5-10 record when Rodon, who's had more games where he's given up, bigger, leads essentially to other teams.
Right.
How is he 12-7? How?
Do you want me to answer your question of how Nestor Cortes is 5-10?
You can't, because here's the thing. Rodon has a 4.37 ERA. Nestor has a 4.42 ERA. Nestor has a 1.23 whip. Rodon has a 1.21 whip. In addition to that, Nestor's pitched more games. How does he not have more wins? I mean, I know he's given up more hits and he's given up 5 more runs in 2 extra games, but Rodon's given up 3 more home runs. Rodon's walked 7 more. Yes, Rodon has struck out 13 more, but it's just weird. And even this is why pitching war is just so pointless. Just throw it away. Nestor Cortes has a higher pitching war than everyone not named Luke Weaver, Clark Schmidt, and Luis Heel.
Okay, so I think I figured out the answer. Carlos Rodon he went from being, how do I put this? Nestor Cortes is consistently bad, okay? If you watch Nestor Cortes, let's just say Nestor Cortes, I could heal his arm, and he's going to go start tomorrow's game. I know he's going to go 5 innings and give up 5 runs. Full stop. It will be that. But or worse, Carlos Rodon could start tomorrow's game, to which he is, and he could give me 7 innings of one-hit baseball. Or he can get rocked and give up 8 in 4 innings. That right there, that's why Carlos Rodon's ERA is in the 4s. He gets destroyed or he's good. Destroyed or he's really good. That's why. Nestor Cortes is just consistent butt cheeks. That's what he is. So it's every single day consistent right across the board. It will never be good. It won't be good yesterday. It wasn't good tomorrow. It won't be good in 2 weeks. It is bad always. That's why when you look at ERAs and you say, well, his ERA is 4.20 and his is 4.24, so they're the same pitcher. No. Nestor Cortes gives up 4 every time. Rodon gives up 2 and then gives up 6.5 to 7 runs. That's where the wins come in. Because Rodon, when he's right, it's a W. Nestor Cortes, when he's right, he gives you 5 2/3, gives up 3, and then you get him off the mound. That's why he gets a bunch of no decisions when he does pitch well. So he's not good.
No, we're over him. I don't care how nice he is. I don't care
She-Hulk,
the Nobel Peace Prize or all that. I don't care.
Yeah, She-Hulk, if you stuck around, we appreciate you guys.
She-Hulk, the worst thing ever created by Marvel Studios. Ever.
It wasn't good.
By Marvel Studios. I like to miss Marvel, for Christ's sakes. Anyway, that's going to do it. She-Hulk in the comments section below to let us know. Signal to us that you watched the full thing. We'll be back tomorrow. And hopefully we're back talking about a Yankees win, because we don't love losses. I don't think anybody does. So
no,
that's all we got for you guys. Appreciate you.
And like this video.